Hello and welcome to our top-notch education consultancy programs. As you're aware, we've been dealing with the set books, and so far we have dealt with quite a number of set books. We've been reading through them and doing analysis of the same. We have been reading and analyzing Fathers of Nations, the Samaritan, A Silent Song and Other Stories, and also the Parliament of Owls. And our programs continues, and this is second term. The better part of our programs will be touching on our revision. And that is why we want to use the question and answer approach as we deal with the issues set book, because remember that examination is beckoning, and therefore we have also to prepare our candidates well enough for the examination that is ahead of them. In our today's program, I will be discussing A Silent Song and Other Stories. And the story that I have picked today for our discussion is Talking Money. Welcome, and I believe that you're going to enjoy my analysis and probably giving you the possible questions when it comes to this story. In my view, this story is about failure or refusal to take pieces of advice that you've been given by someone. What are the consequences when someone gives you pieces of advice and you refuse totally to take those pieces of advice? That to form the basis of our discussion. Again, we will be looking at another issue here, that is the issue of exploitation. But remember that the issue that comes out very well in Talking Money is the issue of refusal or rejecting pieces of advice that you've been given by someone. Now, in this story, we have the major character called Mukindanyi. Mukindanyi is hellbound to sell his parcel of land, and he says that there is no one that can advise him on how to take care of his household. So probably selling the piece of land or the parcel of land would be to take care of his household, as he says. His two brothers, that is Ngoseiwe and Agoya, have gone to him to dissuade him from selling that parcel of land. But he says that no one is going to advise him. He is the one to take care of his family, and he will not seek any form of advice from anyone. And therefore, it is a very violent experience when he even tries to fight his own brothers. And I like this part where Angoya actually gives a statement, and I will be reading that statement that Angoya tells, not Angoya, but his brother, that is Ngoseiwe. So I would want to read that bit for you so that you also see the concern of his brother Ngoseiwe, and that is, remember, the eldest brother. So let's just read through what the brother says here, and you realize that sometimes it is just good enough to take pieces of advice from people. So Ngoseiwe says, and remember this is the eldest brother, that you say you don't need us, and today your head has swollen like that of a child, heavy trod in the plowed field. Hasn't it, Ndugu? Well, you will need us someday. That is what his brother told him. Yes, you will eat dirt and tell you, and you will send for us. So that is his eldest brother, Ngoseiwe, warning him that today you want to fight us, but remember that someday you will need us. So it tells you that this is someone that doesn't seek any piece of advice from someone. Now, he sends his brothers away, and at night, when the children have gone to sleep, his wife Ronika also goes to him. Of course, he's a very wise woman, because he realizes that certain things that you don't discuss with your husband when the children are still awake. So she also tells the husband to give some further consultation a chance. There is need to consult before this parcel of land is sold out to the gallows. But he just listens and doesn't respond to what the wife says. Number two, the wife tells him that it would even be better if they leased that piece of land and not to sell it. Probably someone would pick it and work on it, or use it for quite a while. Then the family is given some money, but finally the parcel will get back to the family. Again, he doesn't respond to that. Then the third aspect is when she tells Mukindani that the gallows have the money, yes, but even from the village, people do not know the source of their money, and therefore he needs to be very patient and he needs to be very careful when he's dealing with the gallows. But still, the husband, that is Mukindani, does not listen to the wife, Ronika. So he is someone who doesn't take pieces of advice. We have seen how he's treated his brothers in the first instance, that is Oseyue and Agoya. Now, the wife is also talking to him to dissuade him against selling this piece of land, giving reasons. Maybe they need to consult, and they also need to know that the gallows are not very good people, but still he doesn't take heed. Now, so what happened is that the wife even warns him that no one in the village actually does business with the gallows, but still he doesn't understand this, that no one does business with the gallows, because we do not know the source of their money, and still he doesn't listen. What does he do? He actually takes a hippo whip and beats the wife thoroughly at that night until the wife has to scream, and the villagers have to hear the noise coming from the wife who is being beaten. So you can see someone who doesn't listen. He's someone whose anger and emotions take the better part of him. Remember what he did to his brothers when the brothers came to warn him against selling this parcel of land. He sent them away from his home, and now the wife is also pleading with him. What does he do? Instead of listening, he actually beats the wife. So that is the Mukindani that you find in this story. So after that, we are also told of a case. While he was young, the father had taken him to school to learn. But instead of learning, Mukindani would actually jump through the window and over the hedges of the school fence, and would actually get involved with some other truant boys in the village, and they would steal maize and eat maize and not going to school. So you can see even in his childhood he's got the problem of not seeking any piece of advice, not seeking anyone's help. He's someone who is just a truant in all his behavior, and therefore when finally the problem comes to him, we are not going to sympathize with him, because it is like he is attracted the misery in his life because of failure to listen, or failure to take pieces of advice from people. So finally what happens is that Mr. Gallo comes with his younger brother, and they try now to negotiate. Mukindani had expected that there is going to be haggling, because he's a cattle seller and he's used to this bit of trying to haggle for the price or the cost of a good, and that is what they do in the market. So he expected that. But remember, when Gallo comes and Gallo gives him 500,000, he never expected the 500,000. His expectation was actually that they would negotiate, and finally the final money would be 250. That did not happen. So he's very happy about this. He's mesmerized. He is under the tree, cannot even move, and he realizes late that he's got the money in an open field, and he runs back to the house now. And it is at night that he now tries to talk to the wife about the whole scenario. And something happens at night. He cannot sleep. He thinks maybe someone is going to steal money from him, so he doesn't sleep even. So he's a disturbed man because of this money. It's a lot of money. He's never touched this kind of money. So what happens is that at night he ties the briefcase around the frame of the bed so that no one can steal this money from him. But at some point after dawn, the money begins to talk. They're talking about the silence, how they like the peace and the silence in this house. It is not like where they have come from. So this actually wakes up Agoya, and he comes to his senses and begins to realize there is something wrong with his money. And he tries to wake up the wife to explain what is happening. And when he wakes the wife and they begin to talk, then the money also talks and says that they don't like that kind of shouting. So look at that. He fell into this trap of the gallows. The wife had warned him that people do not know where the gallows have got their money from. And here, the money is now talking. So in the process, the wife says that he doesn't want this money, and therefore he's got to leave the house to get the money and return this money to the place that he got it from. And therefore they have to untie the money from the frame of the bed, and the wife takes the money and throws it out and tells him to take that money back to where he had got it from. So look at that. Failure to listen. Now his longest moment has come. And he has now to actually walk from his house, I think it is a mile, to the gallows to take back the money. That was one of the strenuous journey that Mukindani had ever taken in his life. And even as he was walking and going, he realized that this money was continuing to talk. And when he arrives at the gallows, there are also the hounds, the big dogs at the gate. So as the gallows are opening the doors to come and see what is happening at the gate, the dogs are also barking at him. Those were some of his longest moments. And therefore he had actually to take to his heels. He ran literally, leaving the money, throwing the money into the compound of the gallows and getting back to his home. So look at the kind of suffering that Mukindani exposed himself to because he didn't listen. So sometimes it is good to listen to whatever we are being told, and that is what this story is all about. You know, the father had actually talked to him, wanted him to go to school. He never wanted that. So even during the time that he was to sign for this money, he didn't know how to read and write, and therefore he was unable to sign. So they had to bring actually the ink. And so he actually used his thumb as a way of signing to get that money. Look at that. So sometimes when we don't listen, then things catch up with us. The wrong that we do sometimes catch up with us. So it is always important to listen to what people are telling us. Mukindani did not listen, and that is the reason why this misery has befallen him. Thank you very much. I hope that my discussion has shed some light and you have understood some bit of the story. May God bless you abundantly as we continue to have our revision of programs. Thank you, and may God bless you abundantly.